Welcome to EntreProgrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, with your hosts, Josh Earl, Derick Bailey, and John Sonmez, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
Hey, John Sonmez here, and I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank the sponsor for our podcast, Signal. Without Signal, we wouldn't have a place to host our podcast, and as you know, Signal is actually from one of our own here at EntreProgrammers. It is the creation of Derick Bailey. So Derick is actually the owner and creator of Signal, and it's a podcast hosting service. So if you are interested in creating your own podcast, go on over to signalleaf.com and sign up for an account today and check out how easy it is to get started. The thing I really like about Signal is just how easy it makes it for hosting your podcast. Of course, I have my own podcast, Get Up and Code, that I host at Signal, and I've been very happy with it. We're hosting EntreProgrammers there as well. And so thank you again, Signal for sponsoring this show. And don't forget to check out Signal at signalleaf.com if you're interested in starting your own podcast.
All right, we're on the air.
All right. John seems much more awake today.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder why.
I wonder why. Welcome back, John.
There's no seagulls. So.
Back from the comfort of Hawaii to the crap of the mainland in Florida.
Yeah. You know, it's good to be back, though. I know it's weird, but like being on vacation for too long is I was starting to after 6 weeks I was like, man, I think I've had enough of this. Being like in a 2-bedroom apartment and cramped up and yeah, I don't know. It feels good to be. When I got back home, I was like, man, I feel like I'm a rich person. Like when I walked in because I don't have like a fabulous house. I've got like a normal like suburban house, right? Like a 4-bedroom house or whatever. But like I was like, wow, it's like I've got all these clothes. Like I open up my drawer and it's like there's not just 3 pairs of shorts. There's like 5 and there's like a closet full of clothes and all the socks you could possibly want and So it was kind of weird. It is an interesting experience though, like going there and then coming back, and there's things to appreciate on a vacation, but then there's things to appreciate being back in your regular office and home and stuff. So yeah.
Nice. Was the trip back eventful or uneventful?
It was long but uneventful. It was like a 5-hour flight. We left at like 10 o'clock p.m. from Maui. So there was a 5-hour flight to Seattle and then a 5-hour flight from Seattle to Tampa. So we lost like a day. Like it was a twilight zone. Like we left at 10 p.m. We arrived at 5 p.m. in Tampa time because there was a 6-hour time difference forward as well. So yeah. It was kind of weird, but
yeah, I've heard stories about people that would get on a flight before their birthday and land the day after their birthday.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, oops.
Yeah, because you travel you get like a one-way flight from Dallas to China. That's a 12 or 13-hour flight. Yeah. And you're going against the time zones, so you could leave at like 11 p.m. the day before your birthday, and then a 12-hour flight plus a 12-hour time difference, get there, the day after your birthday.
Yeah.
Oh,
just
man.
Totally miss your birthday because you're in the air.
That's poor people that are born on February 29th.
Exactly.
I was thinking about like jet pilot, fighter pilot, where they're flying like. What is it, like 500 or 600 miles an hour?
Pretty easily.
I mean, they can go pretty fast, right? So imagine they're actually flying fast enough to be beating the sun, beating the rotation of the Earth. So if they're flying east, right, and let's say they flew halfway around the world, it would actually be like they could leave like at dusk, and it would actually be lighter out. It would be daytime when they got there.
Right.
It'd be going backwards for them. That'd be just freaky. So.
Wow.
At least I think that's possibly true. Someone listening will know. Will be like, no, they only fly like 50 miles an hour faster than.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it, honestly. I mean, those things you get some of those fighter jets. I don't think they would have the range to be able to do that, halfway around the world, but they could certainly get the speed.
Yeah. But and then I fasted like on because I had so the time difference was weird too because I had my last meal on Monday night, right? And so then we left on Tuesday evening, and I decided to skip that meal because that was and so then I ended up not eating again until Wednesday night. So I ended up like being 2 days out. But it's pretty cool. When I got back back on my my Y things scale, my wireless scale.
Right.
And when I left, I was 237 pounds, and when I came back, I was 217. So I had dropped 20 pounds while on vacation. So that's a pretty happy accomplishment.
Yeah.
So, but I'm actually just sticking with the fasting now. I've gotten so adapted to it now that I just don't eat breakfast and lunch. Just eat dinner, and I'm good to go. I don't know how long I'll do it, but I might make it a permanent change.
I know somebody in Ohio that does that. Justin Searles. He told me once when he was in high school he was rather overweight, and as he got older, he just slowly stopped eating less and less and less to the point where he no longer eats breakfast or lunch ever. And it's like a rare, occasional, when he's on vacation kind of thing that he'll have a breakfast or lunch.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds so weird and so like, oh, I could never do that. But after doing it for 2 months now, over 2 months, I'm pretty adapted to it. I don't get hungry till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then by that time it's only about 3 hours till dinner, so I can just make it.
That's exactly what Justin says. I mean, almost word for word.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how that works with you if you're actually working.
Yeah.
I always find it a lot harder when I'm sitting there working if I get hungry,
Yeah, I'll see. I mean, we'll see. So I mean, so far yesterday was my first day back, and I was fine. But
I'm kind of the opposite there. If I'm working and I'm really involved in something, I'll forget that I'm hungry. I won't notice. And I most of the time I try to find work that is really involved and really gets me into that flow state because it'll make me forget that I'm hungry. I won't think about going to get, whatever caffeine or food or anything. I'll just sit and work and, oh, it's 5 o'clock. Okay, I guess I should go home and get dinner.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if I get into the zone, I'm like that too. So.
I guess Josh just never gets into the zone anymore, though. So this is always looking for that next thing to do, including eat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll keep on. I'll see where this goes from here. I wanted to get down about another 20 pounds, and I'll be like in contest ready, like ripped shape.
I've been fighting my weight for months. I haven't been able to drop below 245. I've been trying for like 2 months now. It's killing me.
The key thing is, like, I was just helping my wife with a diet now because she's like, man, I just can't lose this 8 pounds. I was like trying forever and ever, like over a year now. And I'm like, okay, the only way you're ever going to do this is if you have a plan. Like, you have to. So we just sat down yesterday and we're like, look, we're going to plan out your meals. Like, you're going to have day A and day B, or you can have day A, B, C, whatever you want to do. Just simpler is better. And you have to plan it. You have to plan exactly. Let's go figure out the calorie count, and we're just going to plan out what the meals are going to be, and you're just going to follow that one. It's going to be a pain in the butt for an hour and a half as we sit and make this schedule and calculate the calories. But once you have this schedule, you're just going to stick to the plan. And like, everyone can stick to rules and plans, right? It's like it's when you have to make judgment calls that you screw up. And that's the biggest thing is, like, if you just sit down, you've got the nutritional knowledge. Like, everyone has the basic enough to, I know you could figure out how to, plan out your calories and diet. If you do that, if you sit down and do that and then plan out just a couple other things, like, are you going to walk for 30 minutes a day or what, just some other thing, and just set it on a schedule. It's set in stone. Okay, it's lunch today. I know exactly what I'm eating. I know what I'm eating for dinner. I've already I know what I'm doing when I'm grocery shopping. then you'll definitely be successful. But it's so hard to do it if you don't have that plan.
So I've been doing that actually, and I dropped the 5 pounds last month by doing exactly that. My problem is that when I stick to my plan, I end up with really screwed up chemistry in my head, and I sink into a pretty deep depression and anger and frustration and all kinds of other problems. And so I can't be absolute and strict in my diet. I have to allow for some amount of carbs or whatever the thing is to keep myself from getting to that state again, because I about got divorced 3 years ago by doing that for 30 days. I mean, I'm not joking. I mean, my wife was seriously pissed off at me for 30 days while I did that. So
I believe it, and I'll tell you why that happens. I know exactly why this happens, because believe me, I've been through this many times on zero carb diets and all kinds of. The basic reason why it happens is because one of the things that you look forward to in life more than anything else is that most people do, right? Most people because think about it, like we go out and we celebrate, like, okay, it's time to celebrate, so what do? Let's go to a nice restaurant, right? Let's order dessert, right? Most people, so when you take away that thing that people look forward to in life, they become very depressed, myself included. It's like, man, I can't even look forward to going and getting that burrito at lunch, or going out and getting that dinner, because my future is bleak. I've got meal after meal of crap that I have to eat.
It's not just psychological for me though. I mean, it's seriously it's a chemical problem. It's my brain having been wired for so many years eating massive amounts of processed food and sugar and everything else, that it's withdrawal symptoms. It's not just a psychological problem. I can deal with the psychology of it. That's easy for me.
Yeah.
It's the physiological problem of reducing what my body thinks it wants and needs that causes serious mental problems for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a combination. I'm not going to say that it's all, it kind of contributes.
I definitely understand what you're saying with the psychology of it, because it sucks, not going out, not doing things, but that I can get over. I can willpower through that. I can't willpower through a chemical change in my brain.
Well, just have an accounting for it too. I mean, that's the other thing you can do is if you're going to have a day when you're going to have a cheat meal and have your calories planned out for it, or a dessert,
right.
or even, I mean, if you just want to lose weight, right, and you're not concerned about keeping muscle or being the healthiest, right, then make your diet kind of unhealthy but low calorie.
Yeah, I can't do that either. So I get blood sugar problems when I do that.
Yeah.
So I have to eat healthy and lower calorie. Otherwise, I end up with blood sugar crashes, and I end up all jittery and sweaty and feeling like I'm going to pass out. I may be hypoglycemic. I've never actually been tested, but it's all the symptoms of it.
Okay, well, I'm not. The only idea I've got left is liposuction or suck it up.
Yep.
I guess we should move on and talk about more
probably
business-related stuff.
But it's life. I mean, this stuff affects how I think about my business.
Yeah.
When I'm having a good week in terms of my diet, and I start having a bad week that same week because I'm frustrated, it has a direct impact on what I'm willing to do with my businesses and how I'm willing to move things forward, if I'm willing to move things forward at all.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, everything related to health and life and habit and all of that. I'm working my butt off to build better habits with eating. Yeah. And trying to balance that with not letting myself sink into a serious depression, so that I can actually continue to move my projects and services and everything forward.
Well, I'll throw one other thing out here that might help you. Okay, so part of the reason, when I did the fasting during the Hawaii vacation, a lot of people were like, well, why would you do this? Well, part of the reason is I wanted to keep a mental edge.
Right.
So like at least I had something that I was being very disciplined at. I was allowing myself, non-discipline in many other areas, but this was something that was a super strict discipline. So I could almost like take pride in that and see that as kind of a training, as a character development growth thing, not just a weight loss or weight prevention from gain, but as a character development thing.
Right.
And maybe if you can look at it from that mindset of the discipline that you're going to have to go through in diet, in losing weight, is not just going to benefit you in losing weight, because that might not be so important. But if you think about it as the discipline and the pain and the trials of going through it will actually make you stronger, make you more disciplined in your business, and improve you in other aspects of your life, and make you feel like you're accomplishing, you're moving the ball forward, that might help you to get over the kind of depression, because you have, like, there's another angle that you're looking at the whole. Sometimes when you flip a trial around and you look at a trial or something that's hard from how it's going to build you and build your character, sometimes it makes it so that you're actually welcoming the thing, not that anyone like likes pain, but there's almost like
I'm pretty sure you do.
Okay.
I've got plenty of tattoos, and I've had a lot of piercings, so
But yeah, it does affect everything in your life, because
yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
But anyways, so how was your first week or first few days back, John? Are you getting that pent up energy of I want to do something out yet, or are you still planning, or what's going on?
Well, I'm not like officially back on my schedule. Like I'm just catching up on stuff right now. So yesterday was the first day I was really back, right? Because I got back Wednesday night.
Right.
So yesterday I just kind of caught up on letters and stuff. I got one of those postcards in the mail that was like, you have a registered letter, and then it's like from an attorney. So I was like, oh, I'm being sued. This is great. I love being sued when I come back. And then it was like some kind of zoning thing. It's like, we're letting you know that we're having some public meeting. I'm like, thanks for making me go to the post office to ignore this crap. But
exactly.
At least it wasn't being sued.
Right.
But yeah, I was just catching up on, stacks of mail. You can't even imagine how much mail.
I can't imagine. No, I mean, I've been gone for like 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And it's bad enough doing that. Seriously, the last time I was gone for 2 weeks, the mail carrier brought one of those trays that they use to store mail. She brought 2 of those trays full of mail up to the door, handed them to me, and said, when you're done with the trays, just leave them on the mailbox and I'll pick them up the next day.
Yeah, I have to figure out a better plan for the future, because we had our neighbor like picking up the mail and putting it in the house in the garage, and then my dad was coming by every like couple of weeks and then going through the mail, opening it for us and telling us like bills or whatever.
Right.
Next time I'll just probably get a PO box and then redirect the mail or something. I don't know.
You end up missing stuff in the mix, though, because there's going to be a period of time where there's mail in transit to the P.O. box, and then you got to get it forwarded back to you. And
yeah, that's true.
It can be difficult.
I don't know. I'll have to figure out some. There's some services, too. I don't know if they're still doing them. There used to be services where they'll open your mail for you and scan it all in.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
That might be, because there's really nothing that I need physical paper, or they'll ship it to you if you need it. So I might look into that. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I've been just planning out my just catching up on those things, and then I've got I'm making a list in Workflowy about like big list of things to do. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it, I'm before I really move forward on new stuff, I want to clean up a whole bunch. I want to get everything organized, get everything well oiled. I haven't had the time to do that. So I've got things like cleaning up Dropbox, cleaning up LastPass, I'm going to take the Simple Programmer website and I'm going to move it over just to a standard, probably a Genesis theme. Mm-hmm. And just use a regular theme, not customized. Maybe I'll customize the colors or something, but I'm going to try to keep it as standard as possible so that the design doesn't get in the way.
Yeah, that'll probably make it load a lot faster too.
Yeah, I've been super happy with the Genesis theme that I'm using for Derick Bailey and Watch Me Code and Signal Leaf.
Yep. Yeah. And then I've been planning on getting habits. Like I want to get like a more of a routine. Like I've been, there's a few things like on my list of like starting meditation finally. Like I want to get that into a daily habit.
Yep.
And then I'll probably like batch up like a few of those daily habits that I need to get going on. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think if there's anything really nothing major that's come up. I'm still working on the rental property stuff, I got a new property management company. I'm trying to shift the properties over. I have to sell a property because one of the new property management company is like, we're not going to manage this. This is like this is the slums.
Are you a slumlord, John?
Apparently I am. I guess one of my properties is kind of in a dilapidated area, so I'm going to sell it and get something else. But yeah.
Yay.
Nice. Is that pretty involved for
selling
you, or
selling the property? Not really. I just have to get a real estate agent, get it listed, and they'll pretty much take care of it. And then I'm doing a 1031 exchange, which is a tax deferred exchange. So I'll be basically selling it, and then there'll be like I won't touch the money. It goes to this title company, and then I identify 3 properties that I might buy, and then I buy one of them, and the money gets automatically transferred to that without me touching it, and then you don't pay taxes essentially.
Okay.
Or the taxes are deferred until you sell the.
Yeah.
I've done things like that when transferring retirement accounts around.
Yeah.
It's crazy how. You see all these laws about, you take this money and you have to pay taxes, and then you do this with it and you have to pay taxes, and all this stuff because you're moving money around when all you really want to do is move the money from A to B, and sometimes you have to go A to C to Z to W to Q and then back to B, and you have to go through these giant hoops like that because you just want to avoid paying the taxes now.
Right.
It's not ridiculous.
Defer paying the taxes. We never avoid paying taxes.
Right, just defer paying them.
Avoid paying taxes.
Death and taxes, the only 2 things that are guaranteed in life.
Yeah. But so I think that's pretty much what's going on with me. What about you guys?
Go for it, Josh.
All
Josh
right.
is having a rough week.
Actually, well, it's been weird. I've actually had a really good week, but it's just like at work. It's been kind of rough. I've been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot of small tasks that have a huge amount of setup for them, and it's just been killing me. So I'll do like literally like a day and a half of setup, trying to get all the business rules squared away for this one scenario, and then make a 10-minute change. And then I'm on. Like a lot of times with Trackabout stuff, we do like it takes like a couple of days to get everything set up and figure out like what we need to actually do, and then you get to work on something for like a week or 2 to make all the changes. And so that's not so bad, but this week has just been like all set up.
Yeah.
Actually, the last 10 days have been like all set up. So yeah, it's been kind of rough, but I've actually been still like really just really happy with everything that I've streamlined and simplified, and feeling really relaxed. Like I'm going to start taking Sundays completely off now. Like I've been working like just like an hour or 2 in the morning before the family gets up, and I'm going to not even do that now. I still wake up. I can't because I'm so in that groove of waking up at the same time every morning. So can't not wake up, but I'll probably just read, relax, chill, and not try to actually get anything done. So, and last Sunday, I did that last Sunday, and I got, it was funny because like I got, I had some emails due for my freelance or for my copywriting job, and I wasn't sure what they were going to be, but then like I took off Sunday and it came to me. And then Monday morning I just banged it out. It worked really, really well. So, I'm looking to do more of that. But yeah, oh man, last weekend was probably the best weekend I've had in a long time. Like, it was actually my birthday on Sunday, so I took off. So I completely took off Sunday. Saturday I worked till about 3, and then I took off and we went to the apple orchard with the kids, and that was a blast. But yeah, like it's been really like the copywriting thing. I don't think I realized what a good opportunity that was when it popped up. Yeah. It just seemed like one of those things I should probably do. But this is, I think, probably the best opportunity. Like, the more I get into it, I think this is the best opportunity I've had in several years.
Nice.
Yeah, the guy that I'm working with, like, he's really, like, he knows a lot of people, and he knows his stuff. And I keep finding out more and more about him and realizing, okay, this guy's, he's not somebody I've ever heard of before, but he's really well positioned, and he's got the respect of a lot of people. So this is a really good place for me to be right now. And he's talking about he wants to do he's working on some trainings for copywriters, and he wants to put me through it for free. Nice. So that'll be a pretty sweet opportunity. Yeah. And it kind of sounds like he wants to train me to take on a lot of his client work for him, because he wants to do some other things. So perfect. That'll be great. So it's like I'm getting all the experience. Like, the hard part about getting the experience is you kind of need experience to get clients.
Right. But you need clients with experience.
Exactly. So it's this catch-22. Yeah. And I'm short-circuiting, like I'm jumping up to a higher level of client than what I would be I'd be on Odesk. If I was doing this myself, I'd be on Odesk taking $50. I actually turned down somebody contacted me this week after finding some stuff on my blog and asked me if I would be willing to do some copywriting, and it was like, well, the English-speaking copywriters in the Netherlands are too expensive. I was like, well, I guarantee you that I'm going to be too expensive then. But I would have had to take stuff like that, if I didn't have this opportunity. So so I've been sort of continuing to chop things off, and it's worked really well because the guy I'm working with hates writing emails. And that's actually my favorite thing to do. Right. So I did a batch of emails for him last weekend, and it was promoting. I can't talk too much about it, but we're promoting a book basically, and the book is actually lead gen for a consulting package. So, I mean, the client here, clearly he's pretty savvy. Like, this is good stuff. He's writing really good stuff. So I'm pretty excited to be working on it. But the emails, like, so I did 5 emails, and that was what I did on Saturday, and I just banged those things out. Yeah. And I had a blast with it. And the client, like, so he told me this week the client loved them. So
nice.
Yeah, so that's been cool. I haven't gotten a ton of, like, he's given me, like, most of his feedback so far has been corrective, but not like he hasn't, like, done any massive rewriting so far. So it's been fine tuning mostly. So it seems like I'm I've got a knack for it.
What when he asked you to write the emails, did he give you, like, the 5, write these 5 emails about, the first one should be about this, second one, or did you just say make a 5 email sequence?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have to kind of come up with it myself. So I have the book. Yeah, I have the book that the guy wrote, and so I've been reading and listening to and watching videos and stuff of this guy, and to try to get my head into the space. And I have his book. So it's actually, like, I took kind of the storytelling approach where I just pulled out, like, a couple things from the book that I could do a little story about, and then like, the book starts off with this fictional character who kind of, like, personifies, like, the worst day ever kind of thing. Yeah, so it's like, it's great. Yeah, it's like all this pain, so there's just this starts off with this huge rich introduction of all this pain that I can mine. Yeah. So I pulled pieces out of that and just sprinkled it throughout 5 different emails. And his the example that he'd given me was actually a little bit more straightforward. It was not so much storytelling as it was just like, hey, we have this book, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, it was a little bit more straightforward promotional, and I took this other approach, and the client really loved it. So it's pretty much like the Ben Suttle, John McIntyre, Perry Marshall style of email.
Right.
Doing the storytelling that leads into some kind of pitch.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So that's fun. I'm working on 2 more autoresponder sequences for him now. So yeah, he's like, he told me, I talked to him yesterday. He told me like, I've never had to write so many emails than before I took on these clients. And I was like, works for me.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The one thing I'd say about that whole thing too is make sure that you get some insight into how he's running his business, not just.
Yeah,
because that's going to be the thing. Is like, I mean, you're going to get the experience writing these,
right,
and getting his feedback. But if you can see how he's running his business, and then when you're ready to leave, you'll be able to set up your own, essentially.
So actually we talked. So yesterday I had emailed him. Like I emailed him last week and said, look, I'm looking at this pay-per-click thing, the AdWords, and I'm also looking at copywriting, and like I'm about 50-50 between them. I feel like copywriting would be harder to break into and less stable because you're always like gunning for project work. It's my kind of perception of it. Versus AdWords, where you can get retainers. You can get somebody on a monthly retainer and just work with them over a longer period of time. So emailed him about that and said, which you've done both. Like what do you think is easier to break into? What do you think is better? As far as stability. And he said. So we talked for about an hour yesterday. So he gave me like an hour of coaching.
Oh wow,
nice.
He charges like $500-$600 an hour for. So we ended up talking for like an hour, and he basically laid out how he's built his business. He's actually only been freelancing for a few years, but he goes around. Basically, what he does is he goes around to conferences. So. He'll go to he goes to marketing conferences because the people at marketing conferences know the value of a copywriter. Like if you just like with AdWords, you can contact businesses and a lot of them will kind of get it because a lot of times they've tried it themselves or they see the value. But I could never go to a local business and say, hey, I'm a copywriter, do you need some copy written? Like, you'd end up spending...
We have a copy boy.
I got a copy machine in the back. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. You'd end up spending all your time on education. And you can't educate and then sell. Like, you can do it, but it's the long, painful way. Yeah. So he goes to these conferences where people already understand the value of what he does, and then he just networks there.
That makes sense.
So he's built a really nice sized business in just a few years doing that, and that made a lot of sense to me because I was having a very hard time figuring out like how do you. I mean, once you have clients, you get referrals. It makes sense, but like, how do you break into something where a lot of people don't necessarily understand the value of what you're trying to do? So. Yeah, so that was pretty awesome. I'm sure as I work with him more, I will get more exposure to how he's running it. But I was pretty jazzed about that, and seems like he likes, he seems like he's pretty happy with how I'm doing, and he's like, I'm gonna load you up, man. Like, okay, well I could do about 8 to 10 hours a week. So I'm getting faster, but it's been most of the work that I've been doing has been in 2 markets, so it's been cool to dig into those and start to get like I'm starting to build a framework for what do I need to know, like if I'm going to go into a market, what are the things I need to know right away to be able to be effective. So he kind of wants to train me, like there's a couple, like it's one thing to learn to write copy for a specific product, but you need to develop a skill to be able to kind of parachute in and boom, 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 just know the questions to ask and everything, which is great. For me, that was what I loved about journalism. So this is copywriting is a really, really good parallel to the type of writing that I just loved doing before I got into programming.
Nice.
Yeah. So this has been a pretty cool week in that regard. Let's see. I wrote a few things down. Anything else? Oh yeah. So the other thing I'm thinking about is like what I've been thinking a lot about, kind of the 80-20 stuff that I've been reading about, and thinking about like what can I do with my Sublime business to keep it going without me, or to get it going again without me involved. Because I'm the problem with that. There's definitely money to be made there, but I'm the problem on a bunch of different levels with it. So I don't really have any answers right now, but I think that I could probably, with a minimal investment, I could probably get that going again and be like mostly out of it.
What about something like partnering with Peter Cooper to do a Sublime Weekly?
I mean he partners with several people, but they're the ones doing the work, not the other way around.
Right.
I'm not sure he'd want another list, but I think he's listening. So
we'll find out. That's what I was going to say. I'm
True.
listening to this, so we'll find
Come on,
out.
Peter, hook Josh up.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd be interested, but I'm willing to talk. So
there might be the other thing to think about is like, I mean, this is where I would start if I were you. I would come up with a list of like maintenance mode routine tasks that you need to do. Like, okay, weekly I need to send an email, I need to tweet this, right? And just come up with the list, like to forget about who's going to do it. Like, just assume you're going to do it, and
write
come
a
up
procedure for the business.
Yeah.
And then do it yourself for, I mean, make sure that it's not going to take too long, maybe it's a couple for now. Just at least a couple times to test through it. And then see if you can. I mean, from there you can kind of figure out what you'll have a better idea of what the minimum maintenance is, how many hours a week it is, or whatnot.
Right.
And then you might actually decide, well, I could actually do this, or you might decide, because right now, because there's a difference. Like right now, it's hard to get your mind wrapped around because you've been in this. I'm trying to grow the Sublime Text thing, and you've been pouring hours into it. But I have a feeling when you come up with that process of like the minimum of advertising, tweeting, whatever that 80-20, doing those things, that is probably only going to be a couple hours a week, if even. But if it turns out that it's more than that, then you can decide. You can say, well, okay, is this outsourceable, and can I pay someone to do it and it'll return more, or can I like find someone who I can split profits with? Maybe like you find someone in your audience that they'll do this, they'll get to kind of work a few hours a week or whatever it is and get 25% or 10% or whatever the cut is, or maybe they'll just do it out of I like doing this. There's some people that volunteer it and you give them some kind of non-tangible benefit, like a byline or something.
Or somebody like Wes Boss might be interested in just completely taking over, running the thing for you and working with you, and at a very minimum, talking with Wes and Peter and a few other people that do similar things. Spend some time learning what you could do with this list. Not trying to grow it, just trying to run it, like John was saying, and see what they recommend, what they've done, how things work with those kinds of approaches, and see what you can do from there. I mean, you've already done this once with your desk hacks. So it's possible to outsource the majority of the work and still be profitable.
Yeah. Right.
Now it's just a question of finding the right people to give you the insight you need in order to put this in maintenance mode so that you can outsource it the way you want to.
Right.
And how big is your list now?
I think it's somewhere around 74,000. It's actually a little bigger than that because I froze the MailChimp, so I had sent like 2 or 3 emails from the MailChimp list to the less active, shall we say, less engaged people, and so there's like maybe 3,000 in there that I need to move over into Drip, and then I've got about 74,000 in Drip right now.
Okay, I mean, with 74,000, that like I think seriously though, like yeah,
just cash out and sell yourself as a marketing spammer and give everybody's info to the highest bidder.
Well, I was thinking like someone who does run it. I mean, I think maybe Derick is right with someone who already runs a weekly newsletter.
Yeah.
Like might be the right, because you've got a list that rivals their best list for some of them. Like
it's better. That's better than most of Peter's, if I remember what Peter had said previously.
Well, his
not all of them.
His engagement.
His engagements are a lot better, but the size of the list.
But it could be shaped up. Like it could be. I mean, it's actually like if you find the right person, and work out the right deal, you might be able to turn that list into a full-time income. But you won't get the full-time income from it because you'll be splitting it with someone. But that's a lot better than $700 a month or $1,000.
Yeah. Well, with $400 of that going to the mailing list.
Yeah.
Exactly. But someone who's done this before, I mean, you could learn it and figure it out and somehow pull. But if you just take the shortcut approach and are willing to cut some of the profits, I mean, I guess this is kind of like that venture capital thing. It's like, having a you can have a whole grape or a slice of a watermelon, right?
Right.
And it's like maybe it's time to go for the slice of the watermelon. So
right. It's a great analogy.
Great analogy.
Yeah.
You
can tell John's been in a tropical climate there.
Yes.
It's like you could have a pineapple or
or a mango.
Yeah. We're like, John, we have no frame of reference for that.
Like what? You could have a kumquat or a kiwi. Huh?
The food there is weird though. There's Hawaiian food, but it's not what you think. It's like spam and eggs. It's like moco moco, which is like 2 hamburger patties with 2 eggs on top of white rice.
Oh,
wow!
Making me drool. I miss
Moi.
I miss Hawaii so much. Such awful food that I love so much.
I know it's like cheap. Like if you're a homeless person, like a dirt poor, like living out of your van, like what could you eat? That's like what everybody wants. It's give me some plate lunch, man. Yep, Mac salad, the best.
The Mac salad.
Yeah.
Seriously, if anybody ever gets a chance to go to Hawaii, they have the world's greatest macaroni salad. It is so dang good. You can't get it anywhere in the States that tastes that good.
No.
Not even the places that claim their Hawaiian macaroni salad. It's just not the same.
It's the volcano ash.
It is. It's also the crack that they put into it, but
I don't know what they do. What's it's peppered up or something. I don't know.
There's something amazing in it. It's the fusion of American and Hawaiian and Japanese and everything else over there. It's just so bad for you and so good.
Yeah, exactly.
So I gotta figure that out. I really think, having had some time off from it has been really good. I think I'm definitely going to at least crank it up again for a few weeks leading up to a Cyber Monday sale.
Right.
Yeah.
And then kind of harvest some of the money that's stored there for the with the discount code.
So this actually reminded me of something I was going to mention, because we haven't done like any kind of EntreProgrammers challenge in a while or anything like that.
Oh man,
I don't have time.
Well, what I was thinking, because I think we all have been. Well, there's 2 things that have been happening. I think with our group. I feel like we've gotten a little bit boring just because none of us have had any big wins in a while.
Yeah. But that's reality, right?
Yeah, it's reality. It is.
It's big wins are not what happens in the real world. It's the overnight success that took 10 years. That's reality.
Well, but we actually had a chain of big wins of all of us having like some big wins for a while there. Like there was each one of us was but I think maybe a catalyst for that, especially with us being pressed for time, would be to do instead of doing like what we've done so far is we did the 24-hour challenge where you have to make $100, right? And we did it solo, and we did it together. But I think a good next one would be not necessarily a challenge, but like and maybe not 24 hours, but a day of working on something for each one of us. So like it'd be 3 days, right? So
right.
So like maybe sometime in the maybe next we'd help Josh with the Sublime, like we'd tackle a problem that whatever the problem that you're facing, and we all work together for one day and just try and tackle this and get as much get as far as we can with it.
I like that idea. That sounds pretty cool.
I do like that idea.
Okay, that'd be cool, because then we could do write-ups on that too, and that would be kind of really in depth, And I think if we do that, we'll see big wins come out of that. That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
So
that kind of goes in line with I can't remember who it was. May have been Jared Drysdale talking about doing little things that produce little wins on a regular basis instead of always trying to go for big wins. He was talking about how he had obsessed over some products for a while and continuously worked on them and was never really getting anywhere with them, and they were these big monstrosities that took up all of his time, and it just didn't really work out as well as he wanted. And so he started rethinking the way he was approaching things by looking at the things that were successful. And when he sat down and looked at it all, it was the little things that were launched quickly that were successful. Yeah. And so he's kind of started focusing on that again, and is doing this 24-hour or landing page in a day is what I think he calls it now. And it was an idea that popped into his head, and he took like 2 days to build out the infrastructure to advertise it, to collect payments, to schedule people, all that kind of stuff, launched the thing, and made $5,000 in the first week.
Wow, nice.
So for 2 days of work, brought in $5,000, and has a whole lot more people scheduled out on this thing as well. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot of value in doing stuff like that, and I think what you just said goes along with that. We could take a day and work on Josh's Sublime list and see if we can crank out $1,000 of income from that. We could take a day and work on whatever John's next product is going to be, and see if we can boost your sales for your course that you finished up a few months ago. Take a day and work on Watch Me Code and revamp the marketing side of things, and see if we can improve the conversion rates on the landing pages and sign-up pages or whatever.
Yeah.
Little things, little focused efforts that we can really zone in on and do quickly, and not obsessively work on forever expecting big returns, but do it quickly and get some return out of it in order to make progress and have those little wins just stacking up on top of each other. I think there's a lot of value in doing that.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking, like, what got me thinking about this was I started to think, like, in our 24-hour challenges, in some regards, we were being more effective, doing more marketing, getting more stuff done than in 6 months of working on a thing in just 24 hours, because that compressed window, it's like if we marketed, like when we were doing the 24-hour challenges, we did all kinds of, like, we tried to brainstorm marketing opportunities and spent this time. If you did that, if we devoted that same amount of time every day, or like that same effort to marketing, or to like, you know what I mean, with a product or whatever we were working on for the 24-hour challenge every day, we could be so far. But what happens is you don't have that compression of time, you don't have the urgency, or you start to, I don't know, there's definitely something to, like, taking a day specifically focused on a thing and trying to move the ball as far forward as you can.
And I think that kind of plays into what I've been doing with my weekly focus as well, because in the last 3 or 4 weeks that I've been doing this, I've made significant progress in all of my projects, and I've been able to see improvements on a lot of fronts, especially on the Signal Leaf side of thing with the reports and the stuff that Josh and I got set up with Mixpanel and Google AdWords and everything. So having focus like that is definitely helpful.
Yeah.
And for me, having so many projects, I need to be able to focus like that. I like the idea. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Okay, cool. We should figure out when to. Maybe we can just work it out on the list. We'll have to of when to schedule this. I know we're all pretty busy, so we'll have to. But the good thing is that we'll be helping each other. Like it'll be like the trade of time will be worth it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm working hard to be less busy. So.
Yep.
I've been paring down. I've managed to pare down quite a bit, so it's been really, really good. I'm feeling very, very focused. So
yeah,
that's good.
Yes, laser focus. Feeling like I'm ready to get back to the Sublime stuff a little bit, some fashion. So, but yeah, that's a good idea. Like I think I should probably. I think I'm probably gonna email Wes about this and see. He would be a great he would be a great one to do if he's interested. He would be a great one to do the content, because that's really what's been killing me is like I don't, since I'm not using Sublime all day every day, I just don't feel like I'm really able to. I'm able to research what other people are doing, but I just don't feel like I'm able to add a lot of value.
Right.
And it's a lot more effort for me to do that, and I'm doing a worse job than if somebody who's using it all day.
Yeah.
They'd add more value with less effort than I can. So.
And you might be able to find. I mean, one thing to think about too is like, think of like when I was a regular programmer at a job, doing just regular software development where I had no blog or business or any aspirations of it really. If someone would have said, "Hey, will you write some blog posts for my blog?" First of all, I probably would have just done it for free. But if they said, "I'll pay you $50 per blog post," I would have been all over that. Now I know that it's not worth it now, but what I'm saying is you might be able to
hopefully
find.
Hopefully the person isn't listening. So.
Well, they would still make that deal. Well, I mean, if they're listening to this, then they probably have aspirations of more than that. But what I'm saying is you could find some really talented technical people that just like to write about the thing that they are passionate about, and if they got paid anything for it, that's bonus. So there might be. I mean, I think it wouldn't be too hard. As hard as you would like from our perspective, it's like, oh yeah, we know what it's worth to have a business and lists and what blog posts but to someone else, the values are quite different because they're not thinking about like running a business. They're thinking about, wow, I get to have my thing published or go out to people and I might even get a few dollars for it. That's cool.
Yeah, and help them build their audience. Help somebody that's trying to break into blogging and whatnot to be able to create an audience.
Yeah, it could be I could see myself putting, so like I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm thinking like I could have, if I had somebody who could manage the content, basically do what I was doing for SitePoint, sort of look for authors and manage the workflow and everything, and not have to worry about putting it into WordPress and all that stuff. I could do. I mean, I honestly wouldn't mind doing an email a week myself, especially if it was more like just teasing a blog post versus doing a full-blown newsletter that I have to write from scratch. Or the other thing I was thinking about is I wouldn't mind doing emails if somebody else could do the legwork and do the research and like, please test this new plugin on Mac and Linux and Windows so that I don't look like an idiot when I recommend it and it doesn't, or test it in Sublime 2 and Sublime 3. Like there's at least, that's the thing that was killing me too. It's really demoralizing. You find something that you think is going to help people. There's at least 6 different combinations of OS and version. And if you don't test it on all of them, then you're gonna tick off like a big chunk of your audience.
1/6 of your audience at least.
I had one of the last emails I did. I had a guy write me, and I was really bummed out. He's like, I tried like 3 and I wasted like a couple of hours. I was like,
oh no,
dude, I'm sorry. I mean, for one thing, you need to learn to cut your losses a little bit on things, but it's like, but yeah, like to have somebody, if I could find somebody to do some of that, that would definitely be something I could continue. And I honestly, like, I've thought about taking on a co-author to finish the book, or just scrapping the book entirely, or just not scrapping it, but not really promoting it. And if I had, if I partnered with somebody who had a product, then we could promote that instead of my stuff. So, and do just an affiliate split.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have a picture of what it's going to look like yet, but I'm going to get there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. How about you, Derick?
My week has been okay. The first probably Friday through Wednesday were pretty hellish, honestly. Not because of work or projects or anything, but because of dieting. I mean, I'd wake up in the morning feeling fine, and by the end of the day, I felt like, I had no energy, I had no desire to do anything, I had no, it was all I could do just to exist.
Yeah.
And it was pretty rough. And so I've ended up eating worse than I should have for the last couple of days, and it's showing on the scale, and that drives me nuts. But I'm at least not severely depressed and wanting to just go sleep for hours on end at this point. But in the midst of all that, I've had a couple of interesting realizations. First off, my book income is going to dry up probably by the end of the year. So my TragProg income, with them distributing my Backbone book, I got $1,000 in September, but they only pay quarterly. So I'm probably not going to get $1,000 at the end of the next quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to get, maybe $500 or $600. The month of September from LeanPub, I brought in $1,000. October, I already know what they sent me because they sent it to me on the first of the month, and is only $600. November.
So you're on the 3-month lag with them, right, or whatever?
45-day lag.
45-day lag. Yeah.
45-day plus end of the month, so it's typically confusing. 60 days.
Yeah.
So October is $600. November is only going to be $300. So I'm looking at, between now and the end of the year, maybe another $2,000 total. Versus in September, I brought in $2,000, that month, and now for the next 3 months, I'm expecting about $2,000 total. So probably by the end of the year, the book sales are going to dry up, which is going to be a huge impact in my income, because right now Watch Me Code is basically paying for Watch Me Code and Signal Leaf. It's not really profitable beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So my actual spendable income has been from consulting and the book sales. And with the book sales drying up, it's going to come down to consulting, which I'm trying to put in more hours in consulting. I've been working 15 hours a week. I'm trying to get closer to 20 hours a week in order to keep that, to increase the income to offset the loss of book revenue.
Why? So that's a pretty significant drop off, like month over month. Is that idea? Is it traffic related? Is it? I mean, we saw the graph for Backbone, so we know Backbone is a declining market. Is that really? Is it really accelerating that fast though?
I'm not sure. It may be.
You haven't changed anything,
likely,
right?
No, that's the thing. I haven't changed anything. I haven't done anything though in a really long time. So I haven't updated the book. I haven't spent any money marketing it. It's just kind of sitting there waiting for people to stumble across it. Right. The majority of sales that I get on that book right now are from one of the bundles that I have with David Salk. So that's where the majority of the sales come from, and that only gets me like
those declined?
$15. Yeah. Well, that bundle is still selling okay. I still get 3 or 4 of those a week, but I only get like $10 or $15 a pop out of each of those sales.
Right.
The direct sales for the book are almost nothing at this point.
My bundle sales have all but dried up. I mean, I did have a little bump, I think, at the beginning of September, where it might have been like a back to school thing, and it was like maybe beginning of mid to mid September. I got I thought, oh, maybe this is picking up, because I got like 4 or 5 sales through DPD, and then actually several bundles sold on consecutive days, and then after that, I don't think I've sold a bundle because I don't get the emails anymore. I've unsubscribed from all the emails except for the bundles, which I can't.
Yeah, you can't unsubscribe from those. It annoys me.
Yeah, so
come on, Lean Pub. I hope you're listening.
So I can't. Yeah, they're in danger of being an anti-sponsor with that.
Right.
But yeah, so my bundle sales have all but gone away too, which to me is interesting because that means that I don't know what that means. I mean, like the visibility that I was getting with other people's books is no longer effective for some reason.
So I do know there's one thing in this that I forgot about. It just popped into my head. About 3 months ago, there was a rather popular blogger who did a review of my book, and that generated a lot of sales. And so I think September and October are basically the tail end of that bump, because when he wrote that blog post, I tweeted the crap out of it for about a week, was making a killing on sales, ended up being #1 on LeanPub for almost a week.
Oh yeah.
So that's right.
I drove a lot of sales off of that, so I'm basically hitting the tail end of that spike at this point.
Right. That makes me wonder. I'm actually kind of thinking now I should probably I'm actually considering just taking down my sales page entirely, the DPD thing, and going back to LeanPub entirely on that, because I would get the, like when I do this Cyber Monday promotion, I should probably promote the LeanPub version of that for sure, because I mean really the reason I was going with DPD was to try to track things, and that's achievable, but not with DPD.
They fixed that recently. They rolled out massive changes to their Google
I haven't gotten it working yet.
Google integration, and I read the email from it, and I'm like, sorry, I already unsubscribed. I canceled my account.
They integrated with the Google Analytics e-commerce features, but there's still you have to do a bunch of hand coding with your analytics code, which I haven't done to get it all configured. But I don't know. I've been considering just pulling the plug on DPD and just going back to LeanPub and just promoting it there, because really the reason I came off of there was just to try to get tracking better. And if I'm not going to worry about that for right now or maybe ever, then it would make sense to get all of my, because if I hit the front page of LeanPub, they'll promote it.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So I'd get a little bit extra mileage out of that.
Right.
I mean, they do take a bigger chunk out of the sales too, though. So
not that much bigger.
And you don't get the email addresses, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't. But that only matters if I'm using them.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't gotten, I don't know. I kind of think that LeanPub converts better than what I have now, just because they're a store and they seem to have more.
People have confidence when they buy from LeanPub.
Yeah.
I guess that's probably true. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, that makes sense, Derick. Though, so we'd have to look back then, like 3 or 4 months, probably, to figure out what you were at.
Right.
Because that seems like a falling off a cliff. Drop off.
Yeah, it's a pretty steep. 45-degree angle from here to the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I've run the course with this book. I know, John, you've said before that we've run the course with our existing audience, but I wonder I honestly wonder if Backbone has lost so much of its market share at this point, and there's so much free information out there at this point that I wonder not at the value of the book, because I really do believe that the book provides a tremendous amount of value, but at the effectiveness of my ability to sell the book from a marketing perspective and from a pay for this perspective versus go look at all of the free information out there and cobble it together yourself. People still have a hard time understanding the value of spending $25 to get all the information versus spending 25 days to cobble it together yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I said, I think you've saturated your particular market.
Right.
Products have a life cycle within a context, within a scope.
Yeah.
So unless you're going to go out and find a big audience or whatever, then you're not going to be able to you're going to have to deal with the product life cycle. But the good news of that is your audience itself is growing over time, and you're going to have to eventually release more products,
right?
Which will maybe more books or whatever, or video or whatever, and then as that audience grows, then the product life cycles will be longer and longer or more profitable. So it's not like it's oh man, this is done and that was all for naught. It's like, well, now you've got a product. It's always going to have some kind of sales as your audience grows, as new people come into your audience. So that's but then I think the key really to the kind of business that both me and you are trying to run from our blogs, or from the product, even I mean Josh is kind of getting out of that space, but is to the key is to get your blog popular, to get your audience large, and then keep releasing products into it, and then it kind of grows and grows. Each product has more potential to be more successful because you have a bigger audience, and then the more you eventually build this backlog, so you have 20 different products, and then because your audience is continually growing and new people are coming in, you're constantly selling from that backlog, while you usually have one or two products that are still in their peak life cycle. Right. And you eventually get to this point where you've kind of just have it's a snowball effect. So
yeah, and I'm working on that. I'm continuing with Watch Me Code. I've got a fair number of episodes recorded. My editor is trying to get them back to me. The most crazy, insane, you could never make this up reason for not getting some episodes back to me last week. I emailed him and said, "Hey, what's going on? Why? I really need these episodes because yesterday, October 2nd, was my last edited episode, so I'm kind of panicking." And he's like, "Sorry, I've been working on these all weekend. Our power keeps going out because a chicken got into the power substation on the island where he lives in Hawaii, and it took down half the island."
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't remember what island he lives on in Hawaii, but
it must be Kauai because you met him through Rob, right?
Yeah, it probably is.
Probably.
You're right.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for him to get those back to me so I can keep publishing my weekly episodes. And then, the other realization that I had this week, this has kind of been I've known this, but it never really hit me realization. The project that I'm currently working on for my consulting clients, I should say contracting client, I am replacing a mainframe job scheduling system where every night it runs jobs to batch process millions upon millions upon millions of records from multiple data systems into one data warehouse. It's the mainframe that currently has the scheduling that runs all of these jobs to do all of that. That mainframe is going away at the end of the year, and I'm replacing the scheduling system with a system that I'm designing and building using Node.js and RabbitMQ and other really fun things. And it's working. It's pretty darn close to being in production for the first schedule, where we'll probably have it in production within the next few weeks for the first schedule, and we'll just keep growing, completely replace all of the features that we need. and get rid of the jobs running on the mainframe. So the interesting thing about this project is its viability as a product to be sold. And I've always known this in the back of my head, that I actually do own the rights to it. The group that I'm working for, the way that our contracts are written, it directly says the dude that writes the code, comes up with the idea, implements this thing, owns it. It's just me and the guy that I'm directly working for who is helping me design it.
Derick Bailey, henceforth known as the dude.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's real clear.
So it's something that me and the guy that I'm working directly for, who's a really good friend of mine that I've known since 2006, worked with him for about 5 years now. We own the rights to it, and we've had this idea of going out and trying to sell it once we actually get it really working in our environment. And just this week, things started clicking into place to the point where I'm almost ready to put this in our test environment to start running our test schedules. And within the next couple of weeks, we'll have it in a production environment. And it's really starting to hit me. I've spent almost a year, not quite a year, since February 1st, basically, working on this. And it'll probably be another 6 months to a year before it's really done to the point where I think it can be sold. But within the next year, I'm betting that I'll be able to put this thing on the market and start charging a mint for this. Because we looked at a fair number of scheduling systems, SQL Server Integration Service and a .NET-based system called Taskmatics, and mainframe scheduling systems, and all these other things that we looked at. And while they all individually did some things very well, none of them did everything that we actually need them to do. And so we concluded in our testing that no matter what we bought, we would have to write a large amount of custom code in order to do the things that we need and give us the reporting and tracking that required, and give us the dependency structures that we need, and the ability to say these jobs can't be run at the same time, and all these different things that a mainframe scheduling system does. And so I've built a system that is meeting all of our exact needs for replacing this mainframe system, and I think there's a tremendous amount of value in the scheduling system that I've built, and I'm frankly getting really excited about it as a viable business, as something that can be sold for, quite frankly, a large sum of money, because this is meant to replace a mainframe system, and mainframe systems cost millions of dollars a year.
Right.
We're talking about, charging $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 for an installation and customization and getting jobs set up and
based on what you said, you guys should probably be talking more like $100,000.
Yeah, I mean for
a yearly maintenance
I'm talking
contract.
just for the basic product itself.
Yeah.
$5,000 or $10,000, and then the consulting time and everything on top of that to actually go into somebody's business and help them implement it and get it put in place. And
well, if they're looking to replace $1 million system, they're not going to respect you if you're charging $5,000.
Yeah, well, we're not replacing the entire system. We're not building a mainframe. We're replacing one aspect of the mainframe.
Okay, yes.
So there's going to be a significant amount of things that this won't do compared to the mainframe. But the job scheduling is a very important piece that it will be doing. And not everybody out there are existing enterprise solutions for scheduling jobs like this, but they are hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they are enterprise resource planning systems, ERPs and MRPs, and full scale, all or nothing, we will run your business or you won't buy us kinds of solutions.
Right.
So for the companies that already have those systems in place, it makes sense to use those existing scheduling systems. But for companies that don't have those existing business solutions in place, there's not even small company versus large company here, because the company that I'm doing this for right now is a very large company. They're like the third largest healthcare provider in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very large enterprise, and we just happen to be in a scenario where the systems we have don't provide this solution anymore, so I'm building it for us. So I'm frankly, I'm getting really excited about the prospect of being able to sell this thing, and this may be the thing that makes me my first million in the next 5 years. I don't know.
It sounds promising for sure. I mean, I guess you'll have to see once you get into production there. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go with it. Enterprise sales are difficult.
Yes, they are.
So you might pull in someone or tap some resource or sell the property. The first thing that came to my mind was to talk to potentially Accenture or what's the Computer Associates and
license it out maybe.
Yeah, and say, look, we've got this in third biggest healthcare provider. If you just hit the healthcare provider markets, which you already have contacts with, so as a vertical, as a horizontal, and then you can hit vertical markets as well. Then and we'll take this licensing fee, and this is and we'll provide the consulting and train your people.
So interesting thing about the healthcare market, the guys that I work for are the healthcare market for data warehousing. They are three of the most well-known people in the industry for data warehousing and analysis in the healthcare industry, to the point where when the organization that we're working for was looking for bids for a new medical health information system, when they went out to the market leaders, the three biggest leaders in the market with systems that cost millions and millions and millions of dollars, all three of those market leaders came to the group that I work for and said, hey, we're doing a bid for this project. Can you guys help us do the bid?
Oh, I see, yeah.
So we have the contacts in the healthcare industry already, because the guys that I work for are the top of the line, top tier in this space already. It's more a question of we probably need a salesperson more than contacts. We don't need people that can get us into the industry. We need people that can just go out and actually do the sales, because we're really freaking busy.
But that's got to be you guys, that. I'll tell you, I've been trying to help, the company that I'm the tech advisor on and I've seen the founder of that company trying to get an enterprise salesperson desperately, willing to pay huge commissions, and it's just they don't know the product, they don't they don't have the passion about it. He's had to be the one who pitches it and had to make the sales calls and learn how to do it until, when you reach a certain point, then you can, but it requires so much massive training. So I don't know, one of you will have to be the
and we'll certainly be doing that at first. There's no question about that. But it's a really cool system, because the way I built it using RabbitMQ, you can. It's designed so that you can run jobs on any system. There's the one, master system. It's got 4 or 5 moving parts, but then every job that it runs is distributed essentially. It can run on any system anywhere within your network, and probably even outside of your network. We just I haven't built a task runner to do that yet, but I could, because it's all running across RabbitMQ.
Yeah.
And there's RabbitMQ clients available for just about any language you can imagine.
Yeah.
PHP, assembly, I wouldn't be surprised if you could do it there. I know there's C++, C#, Java, Node.js, obviously, that I'm using, Ruby, PHP. There's so many different clients out there that will be able to say, hey, look, this is enterprise ready. We can come in and integrate with whatever languages and platforms you have. Because we're doing that at this organization already. We have .NET systems, we have Java systems, we have Oracle, we have SQL Server, we have Unix, we have Windows. it's a full scale, disparate enterprise to begin with. So it's not like we're building this on .NET and we expect to run this in a .NET only shop. This is built for the enterprise.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds really good. That could be definitely could be huge. It could be bigger than everything. Just got to see what happens. I mean, you'll know once you start trying to sell it, then you'll have an idea. And once you know who your competitors are, and then you know, that's the big thing. And I think is when you start talking to your first customers or potential customers, you'll probably have to be like, who else are you considering?
Right.
And then that'll tell you who your competitors are and what you can check out their pricing and.
And I've probably already looked at all of the competitors because we looked at quite a few of them. And there was one in .NET called Taskmatics, and back in February, March, it was in beta still, but we spent a good 2 weeks with it. Yeah. Really great system, honestly. They did a really good job with it. They just had some pretty severe limitations from our perspective, from the perspective of how we need to do things. And we were going to end up writing a whole lot of custom code. I mean, a lot of custom code to make it work. And so we actually spent, a couple of hours talking with them about our requirements and how we need things to work. And they took a lot of notes. And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with something that is similar to what we've built from a number of perspectives, at least from all the perspectives that we discussed with them.
Yeah.
But the advantage that we're going to have, even against those guys, is they're doing it for .NET shops. So if you want to use their system, you got to be a .NET shop to do it. Which a lot of enterprises wouldn't have a problem doing that, but they won't be able to communicate across, to Oracle and Unix and everything else. And that was an absolute requirement on our end. So that's something I built in from the ground up.
Yeah.
Nice. One of the problems you're going to run into with this is how do you reach the people who can make the decision?
Yeah, that's the real problem.
Because you need to be talking to CEOs.
Right.
And they're going to try to shuffle you off to the head of the technical department.
Yeah.
And those guys can say no, but they don't have the authority to say yes.
Right.
To sign the check for you. So getting your sales pitch to where you can actually communicate to a CEO how this is going to help him, I think that'll be a big component.
And I've got some experience doing that. In one of my weekly emails that I sent out a couple weeks ago, I talked about how I justified $75,000 worth of hardware in the middle of a budget freeze.
Yeah.
And I did that by talking to the CEO the way a CEO understands things. I showed him the numbers. I showed him how much money we had already lost and showed him the risk of losing that much money. And it was a no-brainer to buy the hardware at that point because even if we had even suffered that kind of loss one more time within the next 3 years, the hardware would have paid for itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some experience doing that, but it's certainly going to be a challenge. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I can't tell you. I've been the guy that the CEO says, "Hey, Derick, go evaluate this."
Yeah.
And work with the salespeople and, give the CEO my recommendation, but ultimately I was not the person responsible for the decision.
Right.
I was not the person that could say yes or no. I could only make my recommendation.
Yeah, and then your message doesn't really get through because it's filtered through somebody else. So
Yeah.
who's probably not good at talking to the CEO.
Right.
You need to talk to them. So.
Yeah, the fun of enterprise sales.
That does really seem promising, though.
So it's not just the thing that one of the things that gets me really excited about it is it's not just an idea. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not something that could be. It's an actual product. It's
right.
I mean, do or die. By the end of this year, it will be running the nightly, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly jobs for a very, very, very large healthcare system.
Yeah. There's nothing better than getting paid twice.
Exactly. And a third time, and a fourth time, and a fifth time. And
So that's pretty cool if you can get use your consulting, and then it becomes a product. That's pretty awesome. So.
And the consulting is driving all of my current Watch Me Code episodes and blogging too.
Yeah.
I mean, I blog about the technical side of Signal Leaf sometimes, but most of my blog posts these days are coming from the consulting work.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to get back into the code myself. Mm-hmm. It's been a while. That's the other thing. I better put that on my list right now.
Right.
Come up with I'm going to have some kind of a ongoing coding project.
Right.
Besides consulting, something like an app or something but at some point I'm going to just devote like a year or 6 months to just working on mostly coding and writing blog posts. But
right. So yeah, that's been my week. It's been hell and it's been exciting at the same time. Hell from the diet and the chemical changes in my brain, trying to get through that. And I know I make it worse. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The amount of caffeine and the Diet Dr. Pepper that I'm chugging while we're sitting here talking about this does not help.
Well, here's another thing to try here, because I want to help you with this.
So here's the thing that I keep coming back to, though. It's what you said a couple of weeks ago, John, in that we have a limited amount of willpower, and so we can only work on one thing at a time.
Yep.
And so my willpower is all being devoted to fixing my diet first, not the things I drink, which I know is part of my diet, not my exercise, not all these other problems and stupid things that I do, but fixing what I eat first.
And you might even be doing too much, Derick, too. It sounds to me like you're making too many big changes.
But no, I don't think I am, though, because this isn't a sudden change for me. This has been 3 or 4 months at least, maybe even closer to 6 months of gradual changes.
Okay.
So it's just that I'm getting at the point where it's the snowball effect, where I'm slowly cresting that hill and getting to the point where things are starting to really affect me.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one thing that you might try too. You might even try the thing that I've been doing, the fasting of the 2 meals.
I thought about that, actually.
Because here's the thing about it. I don't necessarily recommend this, but okay. Part of the psychology of why I did it was because I'm in Hawaii. I'm going to be eating out.
Yes.
I'm going to want to eat good food there.
Right.
Enjoy myself. So I said, well.
Can't say no to a plate lunch.
Right. If I'm fasting 2 of the meals, if I'm fasting breakfast and lunch, then I can eat a big dinner at a restaurant, and at the very worst, I'm going to break even. I might not lose weight, but for that day, unless I go absolutely crazy, right. I'm going to probably break even most of those days, and I'm not going to eat out crazy big every day. So net, I'll either break even or be low, and so maybe that might be the thing, because then you don't have to break that. You could say, okay, well, I'm going to work really hard through breakfast, through lunch, and then when dinner comes, I'm not going to go crazy, but I can eat something I like. I don't have to eat health food. I can eat a burrito or whatever it is and whatnot, and then that might actually help you, as long as you don't go too crazy with those meals. But if you have that kind of free reign and you're like, well, and I can even have a dessert or whatever, and and then on days when you're like, well, I fasted and then I ate a healthy meal for dinner anyway, it wasn't because you had to, it was because you just decided to, and then you can pat yourself on the back rather than feeling guilty. Because what happens is in the dieting, you get in this cycle of guilt and shame, and that's so discouraging. And then you have to get wins, enough wins in a row, then you start to feel good and encouraged. But as soon as you break the chain or have a bad, then it's and like you said, if you've been doing this for a few months, you're in that cycle of guilt and shame of so long that's just beating you up. And so you've got to figure out something that's going to give you some wins that will shift your mindset.
Right.
So I don't know. It might be worth trying.
Yeah, I think it would be. Had been contemplating that since you first mentioned it. Anyways,
a lot of times with the intermittent fasting too, what you can actually do, it's when you say eat dinner, it's not necessarily one meal. It could be several smaller meals within a compressed time frame. Usually it's 3 or 4 hours. Yeah. So you might fast from 8 at night to 4 in the afternoon, and then you could have a little something and then have a bigger dinner. So, because it's hard to get, like, it is hard to. I've done this too, not for very long, but it is kind of hard to get all your calories in one meal.
Mm-hmm. No, actually, it's not.
Well,
it's hard to get all your calories if you're eating properly.
Yes,
it's
there you go.
It's easy to get all your calories.
Yeah. 1,800 calories of cheesecake is not difficult.
There's a restaurant 2 blocks from my house called McAllister's Deli. You guys probably have that in your area. I don't know if you do or not, but McAllister's Deli has a sandwich called a muffaletta. A half muffaletta is 2,000 calories.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
That is more than your daily need, right there, in half of that sandwich.
Wow.
Order the whole thing, and you've got 2 days worth of food in one sandwich.
Wow.
But see, that's the thing is, like, you can even, I mean, and that's why I kind of adapted that fasting too, is because it was like, let's say you take a 3-day period, right? And you're like, okay, you on those days you fast breakfast and lunch. On day 1, you eat a muffaletta, right? But on day 2 and 3, you eat just a normal dinner, right? That's so.
A whole muffaletta. John's really
muffaletta.
ratcheting the stakes up here.
Well, you'll be negative for the 3 days.
Right.
You'll actually have a loss. Is if you eat like just normal meals for dinners, not super.
300 calories on Tuesday and Wednesday.
No, I know a guy in San Diego that ate like 100 calories a day for a month.
Oh my gosh.
That's
really dangerous.
It was actually really dangerous.
See, it's not good. Like, I did some research too on this too, like, because everyone's like, oh, you can't fast breakfast and lunch. That's not healthy.
Yeah, you can.
That's perfectly healthy. What happens is your body doesn't go into starvation mode until 72 hours of like no eating. So, and in fact, the HGH levels like start to spike around 60 hours, like 10-fold or so. But so anywhere between like a day to 2 days is totally, your body can handle it and is totally normal and healthy.
Yeah. No, I have very distinct memories of back in the day when I was working construction, where I would go an entire day without eating, not because I planned it, not because I wanted to, but because I got so involved in the work and there was so much work to do that we didn't stop. We just kept working. And when you're constantly active, your body just doesn't need constant input like that.
Exactly. But it might be worth trying something like that and seeing how you do. Like I said, the biggest benefit for me was like I like to eat, so like on this kind of thing, if I want to go out and eat, I don't have to feel bad about it because I'm still going to be under. So I'll think about that some more. I might try one day this weekend. I might try next week. It's something that I've wanted to try to do since you first mentioned it. So
it takes now. Word of caution about that.
Kill me, though, that I'm gonna have to cut the caffeine.
Word of caution about that. Like, if you're gonna do it, it does take a few weeks to adapt to it. So one day it's gonna be the absolute worst day.
But if I can do it one day,
then
I can do it again and again and again.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's the there's a whole bunch of stuff I read on management a number of years ago. I know you got to go, Josh, so I'll stop after this. But one of the things that it said in reaching goals is not to expect yourself to do it always perfectly every time. That's that's a lot of why people fall off of their diets is, I screwed up once, I must not be able to do it. No, you're going to screw up. Who cares? The point is not to do it always perfectly consistently. The point is to make the changes in your life so that you can do it consistently 80% of the time. Not even 100% of the time, but 80% of the time. Right. And once you reach that 80% threshold consistently, then you make another change and you go for the 80% consistency on that next change. And you just you keep going for that consistency because there's always going to be something somewhere that you don't do right. And it's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. You just got to get back on it, keep doing it. Get back on it, keep doing it. You fall down, you get back up. You fall down, you get back up. Exactly. So if I can do it once, then I can, a couple days later do it again, and a couple days later do it again, and then go to every other day and, figure it out.
Yep. Cool. Awesome.
All right. So we should probably wrap up.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing, real quick. Okay. I'll just. I've been reading, and this might help you. Seneca's letters, Letters Solucious on morality, will blow your mind, and it will probably help you quite a bit. Awesome stuff. Like, I cannot believe this is like some of the best writing I've ever, like best wisdom writing I've ever read. Just want to throw that out there. So.
I'll look into it.
All right, guys.
All right.
Talk to you next time.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derick as we figure it out. We are the EntreProgrammers, and we'll teach you straight up to be developers.